So what if I told you the stock market crash isn't just hitting your wallet, it is silently attacking your heart?
So financial stress is more dangerous than you think.
Mm,
It spikes cortisol, wrecks your blood sugar,
mm.
and doubles your stroke risk.
My goodness, your stroke risk increases with financial stress. And we're going to be talking about studies. We are not just making it up, right? So, but here is the worst part though 90% of us make one costly mistake that makes it even worse.
Ready to break the cycle before it breaks you? Stay tuned till the end.
Stay tuned to the end because, yes, because in this episode, we are actually going to be, talking about the silent hard risk hiding in your wallet and the link between stocks, tariffs, those of us in the US, and even heart attacks and strokes. That's exactly what we are going to be dealing with.
Yep. We will also show you how to reduce your risk of heart attacks and stroke, no matter what the market says.
No matter what the market says, and I like that so much. Why? Because you are going to learn what it takes to be able to, stay put and be not getting anything that will actually end you up with with dangerous heart attacks or a massive stroke for that matter. And so we are going to just come right back as we always do. And we need you to stick with us as we come right back, and then we'll continue with the show. People of TikTok, make sure you hit the love and share and all that. All right, welcome back to the show. So we are actually going to be hitting on some important points during this show. And one of them is how the stock market crashes and tariffs spike cortisol levels, which eventually actually leads to some more serious stuff, right? Including heart attacks and strokes. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about, one of them at least.
We also talk about the hidden connection between financial stress, high blood pressure, and stroke risk.
Financial stress, high blood pressure, and stroke risks. We are all about the health aspects of what goes on with your finances, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. And yes, we're also going to be talking about why your blood sugar actually spirals up when you are worrying about money. It's all linked, right?
We also talk about 5 affordable science-backed habits to shield your heart during economic downturns.
Five habits, right? That's what we are going to be dealing with. So let's make sure that we get on with it right now.
Okay, so let's start with how stock market crashes and tariffs can lead to increase in heart attack and stroke.
All right, so let's go with that, right? So studies, we're actually not making these things up. I actually spent time and did research. There's a huge stack of information that I actually need to put in form of an article. But in this show, we are just going to summarize them for you. Studies have shown that there's an increased risk of premature death after a significant wealth loss, what we call wealth shock. So for the people who are actually losing a lot of money on the stock markets, maybe your 401ks, your retirement, however you call it, IRAs, or whatever it is that you may actually be thinking about as far as your finances are concerned, there is a link between your huge wealth loss and heart attacks and strokes. Studies have gone back all the way to the 80s, all the way actually to the Depression, during the time that the economy was really bad, and they have seen how many people died as a result of financial hardships. And so that is one aspect of things that we need to make sure that we have on our life for people to know. So if you are going through anything, what are you going to be doing about it? We're going to tell you more of what happens, and then eventually we will talk about how to avoid any such a thing.
Yeah, also, we will also talk about how stock markets losses can lead to higher likelihood of heart disease and stroke events and death. So it's been known, right? Studies shows or proves that stock market loss can lead to heart disease and strokes. And even
Definitely.
death.
And even death.
Mm.
And let's break that down. How does that happen? We, suffice to say that, I mean, why would you not think that that could happen if you lost a lot of money in the stock market? Unless you have more to still lose, But if for those people who lose tons of money, it is possible, as the studies say, that your heart disease risk may increase. The likelihood of that leading to a stroke is high. You get people getting massive stroke attacks or massive strokes or massive heart attacks, and you don't know. Some of these things may be due to the losses that they take in the stock market. As we see right now, we don't care how it happens. And as a matter of fact, we are not political. We are just talking about a health-related issue, so that everybody who is going through any such a challenge will take the steps to avoid getting themselves in a heart attack or stroke, no matter how bad the economy turns or no matter how much money you lose for that matter. So apart from the stock market leading to you losing your life as a result, financial hardship, it's not just the people who are really rich losing money, but for those of us who don't have enough money, who are already burdened with financial hardships. The studies also show that in general, the risk for heart disease also increase. Your risk of heart attack, coronary artery disease, or myocardial infarction, heart failure, all those diseases are going to increase just because of financial hardship. And again, these are studies. We don't have time to show you the studies, but as I said, we spend time to go through studies. These are documented studies that are there, and we want to make sure that people don't end up, losing their lives just because of the way things are turning.
And not only that, even lower income level in general is also associated with higher stroke risk.
So you mean that being a low income earner can
Right.
also be a risk factor? Who would have thought, being just the fact that you don't have a lot of money or being in a low income bracket increases your risk for stroke?
It comes with, I think this one is clear because maybe you are not eating the healthy foods, right? You don't have the means to go see the doctor annually or regularly, and sometimes you overlook certain symptoms and signs because you don't have the means. So that really makes sense, and it's clear that your chance of getting a stroke and heart attack is higher because of your income.
Definitely. And the good thing is, if you stay to the end, we are going to suggest ways to be like a rock so that nothing that happens will kick you or move you into this state where people are actually suffering strokes and heart attacks as a result of their financial situation. And that is what we are very interested about. We don't want you to, end up in a serious situation just because of how you are doing in terms of your finances. All right. So with that being said, what about unemployment? Which is also becoming rampant these days. Whether you lost your job as a result of the federal government trimming jobs, people in the DMV area in the US here who have lost jobs, we want to make sure that you watch out. You don't let yourself go, because also studies are saying that those people who lose their jobs, they actually have a double the risk of death, especially in the year following their loss of jobs. If you lose your job this year, according to the studies, you are more likely, to be a victim of such things that we are actually talking about, right? And that one of the studies one of the examples we can actually talk about is in the 1980s, we had a crisis in the oil industry in the US, and according to the studies, job losses led to a double the rate of death for people who lost their jobs in the oil sector, in the oil industry in the US. This is documented. If you go to government research documents, you will find it. And so it's not a joke. So if you lose your job, or if you have lost your job, or if you may lose your job, we want to encourage you to watch it, because you never know. So that you protect yourself against undue a toll in terms of your morbidity just because you lost your job. Right?
And studies also show a 63% higher risk of death among the unemployed.
My goodness.
63% higher.
63% risk of death among those who are not employed. that is actually very, very serious, and we don't want to take that for granted. So we want to make sure that people stay to the end,
Informed, right?
stay informed, and we're going to show you how to protect yourself in some way so that you won't be a victim to that. But before we move on, let's check some of the comments we have in people watching from YouTube. See if I can get them there. Yeah, because you can support us if you are watching on Facebook. All right, that's it. And then we have somebody called RF29 Vlogs. He says hi, or he or she says hi. And we want to also thank you for saying hi and joining the stream. And then we have another guy also saying
Right.
hi from Harris. Also, thank you also for saying hi, joining the stream. And own dear sister Serenity is also saying hello, Dax. Come on, Serenity. Thank you also for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. All right, let's see where we are right now on my thing here. All right, I lost that. All right, we are still live. Yes, we are so live. All right, so we just want to make sure that people know that it is not easy to be jobless, to be unemployed, and it is not easy to also have low income, because both can lead to diseases that you don't want to have, deal with. So definitely something to watch out for. See if I can log in again on my computer. Yes. All right. Yes. So let's keep going. All right. So more with the studies and what we find, and we're gonna bring it down. So don't think that we are just saying things that has not happened. It could happen. It's happening because it's, the records show. All right. So also the studies show that there's an increase, in poor health of people, for people who are also in increased financial stress.
Increased chance, right?
Yes. So people have poor health. About 54% of people, they go downhill with their health when they lose their jobs. Basically, if you lose your job and you are not careful, you let everything go. And 54% of people do that. And the staggering result that actually amazes me is that 83% of people, who lose their jobs have stress-related issues which affect their conditions, whether it is, diabetes, whether it is heart disease or blood sugar or
Pressure.
hypertension or whatever disease condition that you have. 83% of people, stress-related job loss can lead to, all those conditions that you don't want to, get worse for you.
And there is also increased risk of heart attacks with multiple job losses, right? So it's not just one time you keep losing jobs as you enter into one, So your chance of increasing heart attack is even worse off, right?
That is also another big thing, because you don't want to be, losing anything for that matter. You don't want any such a thing to happen to you, right? If you lose job multiple times, that's the risk of losing the job just one time can increase your risk for all these problems we're talking about: stroke, heart disease, and the rest. But if you have lost multiple jobs, yours is even different.
Right.
That is even more what should I say, more dangerous,
Right.
because your stress level is going to increase. And
maybe you are in another job and you're even worried that you're going to lose it again.
Exactly. So that already, before you even lose
stressful.
the job, you are stressed. Why? Because of the fear of losing the job again. And that's another thing that we don't want to play with at all. So definitely not an easy thing to do. All right. So approximately about 20% increased risk of heart attack for older workers. That's another statistic that we have seen. So for people who, are older, when they say older, depending on, where you are, we think older is around 55, 60, 70, those people who are working. If you lose jobs, you have an increased risk of even a greater heart attack just because you lost your job. And we are not forgetting the fact that these days some people are going through that, and we don't want it to be something that we just ignore and push down. So we know people are struggling out there, and we don't want to assume that it's always well with everybody. No, it could be bad, but if you follow the things we're going to talk about, then obviously you can save yourself from any such a thing that could happen to you.
Yeah, and which makes sense because maybe the person is getting closer to retirement, right? And all of a sudden you lose your job. Your chance of getting another one because of your age, is limited. So you tend to worry or stress more because of your situation, right?
Definitely. And I think there's another comment here. Let me see if we can bring that up. Not sure if it will come on there. Yes, so Serenity is saying, let me go to this other one. Serenity is saying, why is the person losing a job? Poor work ethic, mental health issues, unsolved. Okay, all right. So I think I like that. Why is anybody losing a job? I don't know where Serenity is watching us from, but for those of us in the US, you don't have to have a poor work ethic to lose your job right now, especially if you're working for the government, because the government is trimming federal workers, just to make sure that it balance the budget and all that. So people are losing the job not because they are not doing well, but because of the budgetary issues that the president or the government wants to, achieve. They have come under, the unfortunate, which is losing your job. And of course, with the economic issues, now the stock market, we lost about $6 trillion, if I'm accurate, and that makes some companies not willing to hire or not willing to keep more people because they still got to balance their budgets, right? And that will lead to some people losing their jobs. But that aside, of course, you could also lose a job if you have a poor work ethic, or if you don't do what is expected of you. Then obviously that is that is one thing. I think she also said something. It's a great time to enter the stock market.
Oh,
Somebody is an investor right there. All right, thanks for that info. I think it is true. If you have money to invest, this is the time. Yes. All right. So yeah, let's go to the next. The next one that we want to talk about is the hidden connection between financial stress, high blood pressure, and strokes. That is something that we haven't, of course, I'm pretty sure you knew we were going to talk about, because we couldn't just say that, job losses, financial stress, and wealth loss are going to lead to blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks without telling you why, right? So let's talk about why this is happening. Then after we do the why, we want to be also talking about how to avoid or how to protect yourself in spite of whatever is going on in your area, whether you're losing jobs or your stock market is crashing or wherever you're watching this from. In fact, it's not just for now, for the future. If anything happens to you financially, how you protect yourself, how you keep your sanity so that you don't end up with these problems that we're talking about. You want to start with that?
yes. So the first one is when you're going through financial crisis, right? It's likely that you activate the state of flight and fight response, because you are going through stress. So you are at this state that you are producing a lot of what? Cortisol. You are releasing adrenaline, and all that is being activated because of the state that you are in.
Definitely. And that is not good. That is not good. If you are releasing excess amounts of cortisol, and chronically for that matter, that will lead to chronic stress. When you are chronically stressed, what happens? Those of you who have watched this before, we tell you that if you are chronically stressed, the first thing that comes to mind is that you're going to elevate your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is going to go up. And what do we know about blood pressure going up? Heart attacks. So now it makes sense. So we didn't even need to go through the studies to prove our point, because we have already proven to you time and again that if your stress continues and persists for a long time, you are going to increase your blood pressure. And there is no argument about the fact that high blood pressure leads to heart attacks and strokes, right? And so with that, we have proved our point. But just in case, somebody didn't know, that's what is happening right here. That is at least one thing.
One thing, and
Yeah.
your LDL also goes up. Your triglycerides also goes
Your
up.
LDL is what? Your bad
Your
cholesterol. Cholesterol, yeah?
Your bad cholesterol goes up because you're producing a lot of the cortisol, right? That stimulates your body to release more of the bad cholesterol and the triglycerides. So definitely that can lead to the complications. Having high cholesterol that can lead to heart attack and stroke.
Seriously, it's just as plain as that. So if you are going through financial issues, whether it's a wealth loss from the stock market, whether it's a job loss from wherever you are working, whether it is economic hardship, whether it's because of unemployment, all those examples that we have given, we want to ensure that you don't end up with chronic stress as a result. And I know when we say that, sometimes it sounds like we are being disingenuous, because why should somebody not get stressed when they have lost their jobs, right? Can we be human at least? Yeah, we know you have to be stressed at some point, and that's more. But if you don't get stressed, you are not human. But what we are trying to say is chronic stress. Everybody gets stressed at some point, but if your stress becomes persistent, that all the time, because of what you're dealing with, you don't let go of anything, you are constantly thinking about it, you have sleepless nights, you are doing all the things that raises your blood pressure because of the constant and persistent release of cortisol, then of course that's dangerous. That's going to lead to not just your blood pressure going up, your blood sugar is going to up,
right? The cholesterol.
Your cholesterol is going to go up. Blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar, these three things together, are determinants of your cardiovascular health. If you are going to get a stroke or heart attack, at least one of these must go up. And so it makes sense that the studies prove that, people died or people lose their lives more when they are financially stressed, whether it be a job loss or money lost from their 401k or the stock market, or however they lost their money. So we want to ensure that people don't get stressed, but we're going to tell you how to avoid stress going forward. So let's keep going.
Yeah, and also like chronic stress also promotes atherosclerosis. The hardening of your arteries. Yeah. So if you keep building up, you are building up plaques over the time, so that will really not help your heart to function as well, and that can lead to heart attack.
Definitely. That cannot be helpful at all if you are constantly building up plaques. And the funny thing is, that in itself will also lead to high blood pressure,
right?
Because you are narrowing the arteries because of the constant buildup of plaques, and your arteries become stiff, all from the stress. Trust me, all from the stress. Because the stress led to inflammation. The inflammation in the lining or in the epithelium of your blood vessels make plaques adhere to the surfaces. And so persistently, plaques are going to be formed, and these plaques narrow your blood vessels. So though you can see the vessel, all right, but it's occluded. Blood cannot flow easily. It's become stiffened. And if it's stiff, it doesn't relax for blood to flow. And then also, apart from that leading to high blood pressure, the other thing is that one of these plaques can break and a clot may form,
right,
which then leads to stroke. And the way it began is because you were stressed. That's how it began. Just a simple thing as getting stressed at work, or being thrown off of your job, or losing your finances, your 401k, your IRA, your retirement, your social security, whatever it is you are losing, that leading to this persistently. And so we got to be careful, and we don't take this lightly, because I have seen younger people, I've heard younger people die, not because of anything, but because of stress-induced heart attacks. And we don't want that to happen.
Yep.
Definitely not.
Yes. So let's continue. Let's talk about the next one. Why blood sugar spirals, right? When money worries hit. How does it affect your blood sugar? Why is it that it goes up? when you're
when you are worried
having
about money.
money issues.
My
Yes,
goodness.
if you want to go.
Yeah. So I think that's as straightforward as saying that again, the cortisol release when you are stressed about money. Of course, stressed
Or
about
stress about
everything.
anything.
But since we are talking about the finances, the tariffs, and stock market at downturn, when you're stressed about finances, about money, what happens is persistent stress or the chronic stress will lead to the release of cortisol. Again, this cortisol, the notorious cortisol, which seems to be bad, but when it's allowed to work properly, it's good. And persistent release of cortisol leads to you not uptaking or picking up sugar from your blood. When cortisol is floating around, your body is being told that there is a threat out there. There's something that needs to be dealt with. And so sugar should be in your blood because you need energy.
Right.
Meanwhile, you don't need energy for anything. The only threat that is there is in your head because you lost money or because you lost your job or because you don't have a job. That is the threat in your head. Of course, there's a threat of losing your house. There's a threat of losing, something dear to you. We don't want to sound naive. Maybe your car note or something that is there. But then it's not a physical threat that is going to do something to you, which your body thinks is going on. And so it's releasing cortisol. And so blood sugar is not picked up. And then also, even when insulin is released, insulin becomes resistant because no, it's being countered by more release of cortisol.
Right.
And so what happens is you are going to worsen your blood sugar. And worsen blood sugar, if you're already diabetic, leads to further complications. If you're not diabetic, you're going to become diabetic. So you lost your job and you picked up diabetes along the way. God forbid. Come on, man. God forbid. God forbid. Yeah, God forbid. But it's happening. As a matter of fact, it's happened. I told you we have a study. I'm going to try and put the study on our website so you can check it out. And at Obtain That Live when we finish the show. If you want to read the entire study that we found, studies we actually did use several studies to come up with these decisions that we're talking about. So it's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and also when you are stressed, it's likely that you are not going to do the right things because you are stressed. So maybe your food is going to be all over. You are just eating anything because some people cope with stress when with comfort foods. So whatever their hand will get hold of, they just start eating anyhow. And sometimes they forget to take their medications, and sometimes they forget to inject their insulin, all the good things that they used to do because of stress. And they're being overwhelmed, with that. It's likely that they're going to let themselves go. And they're not going to pay attention to what they are supposed to do if they have diabetes. So that can be one of the reasons too why it goes up.
That is one of the reasons, another serious reason why it goes up. Stress leading to all those things that eventually may lead to something you don't want to do. So now I think we've done enough of the bad news, right? So why don't we talk about how to actually protect yourself in the midst of the financial downturn or any issue for that matter that brings you stress? How are you going to make sure you weather the storm without getting into chronic stress, which leads to heart attacks, strokes, and all these things we are talking about? How do you do that? That's what the next thing is. We want to start.
Yes, so I think stress management, right? So how do you manage the stress when you find yourself in the situation? How do you go about it? I think our first recommendation is to take a deep breath.
Oh, come on, man. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Take
My
a
goodness.
deep breath, and I think last time we talked about how to go about it. You have to breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, and you breathe out for 4 seconds. You repeat this for about 5 minutes.
Yep.
Because at this time you need the oxygen to go down. You need to calm yourself down. So when the bad news hits, the first thing that you have to do is to take a deep breath.
My goodness, take a deep breath. It's not that hard, but it is something as simple as just sitting down and breathing deeply. For some people, it is we think that it is not necessary, especially when you say take a deep breath. We tell our kids take a deep breath all the time, so it's like a joke. But no, as an adult, if something is not working right, and you are tempted to think so quickly and to act, in a bad way, take a deep breath. Just break down a little bit. Just pause a little bit. Even in a marital situation where things are not going right with a couple, sometimes you don't have to talk back. Take a deep breath. Come on, man. Yeah, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Don't let things get out of hand. And a deep breath starts with, like she said, you could do 6 seconds if you can hold your breath for that. But just simple breathing exercise or meditation, if that's another way you could do it. Just meditate. Pause, in the middle of the storm, pause at some point and meditate. Read the gospel, something that will calm you down and see how you handle the situation. Most of us can weather a lot of storms if we have time to just break, just pause and then readjust. But we are always constantly on the go, and we bring ourselves so down that at some point the body gives in. So that's a key that we have mentioned. Take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath. Do some breathing exercises. Do some meditation. Something that will actually eventually help you save yourself from entering into either depression, heart attacks, or strokes, all of which are not good for you. Yeah, what's the next thing?
The next one is you have to prioritize sleep. Sleep should be something that like you're saying, that you have to pause, you stop. So one way to cope with stress is to just make sure that you have time to really sleep. So sometimes when you're stressed, you're so overwhelmed with the stress that even sleep, we call it sleepless nights, right? So you start thinking, but you have to make sure that you give yourself a break and just sleep through the situation at night. You don't want to constantly ponder over the problem throughout the night. So you have to be intentional that I'm going to sleep, and when I wake up, maybe I'll have a better alternative. So you don't stay at that state and just worry and stress through it. Prioritize sleep. Make sure that sleep is part of your night, and you take time and sleep through the night.
Definitely take time to sleep. Prioritize sleep. And it's true that if you are stressed, that may not come handy. Sleep may be difficult to come by, but be deliberate about it. Especially when the stress times come, when you have lost that job, when you have lost that money in the stock market, your IRA is falling. Sometimes just take a break and just chill, just sleep, sleep it off. Rather than to hang over it and talk, or dwell over it and let your stress go up. So yeah, it is not easy, but if you are deliberate, I think that's where it will come.
There's sometimes some people will take a tea, something
Drink some tea,
calming,
right?
tea.
Chamomile or whatever, ginger tea,
Yeah,
whatever
so
tea.
something that calms you down. Take your tea and just breathe through it and sleep. The bad thing is some people will end up dealing with that situation with alcohol, right? Or drugs. That is something that you don't want to use to control your stress.
Yeah.
Your stress level is something that you have to make sure you don't go there. Because if you go there, you get out of control, I think your health is even going to be worse off.
Yeah.
So
and I think the studies, they say some of the things that people do as a result of financial issues, those are the things that actually lead them to. It's not just the mere stress, but what stress leads them to do, including the alcohol. That is one of them, or smoking even. Or risky lifestyle because they're so stressed.
Right.
So that's a very important point that you brought. Now we got some questions, and I see some loves from TikTok. I like that. Continue to give us the hearts and the follows and the diamonds and however you do it. Oh, thank you for saying that. And those on YouTube, I see only 2 thumbs up. All right, the rest, let's see you sharing more likes. Okay, so we got another question, some questions from Serenity. We want to address them because she is asking not just for herself, but for other people. So we want to have to take time to answer some of them.
Okay.
So the question here is, okay, this one was not a question. It's a great time to enter the stock market. Okay, we said that stress is a killer, she said, which is true. Definitely true. Stress is a killer. And then this is the question. Her question is, why is the person losing job? Oh, we answered this one, right? Okay, so the next one then is, how do you test cortisol level? Is it a blood test? Yes, it is a blood test. Is it a blood test? Yeah, it is. That is definitely a blood test. And you can always ask for your doctors to check, and they will be able to tell you what you need to know. But the real indicator is not knowing how much cortisol is flowing, but how much your stress is. Because if your stress is under control, you don't need to know, because the cortisol is not going to be rampantly moving. Because you need cortisol, especially as we discussed last time. In the mornings when you have to wake up, cortisol and growth hormone have to be released so that it kicks up your body and then you rise up. Because that's how we wake up from our sleep. We need a kick from growth hormone and cortisol. So cortisol in itself is not bad, but if it becomes excessive due to stress, so a good measure would be how much is your stress. That is where I think we should be focusing on. But yes, you can always test for that. And then the other question is, how long is chronic stress? 1 month, 1 year? That's a good question. How long is chronic stress? 1 month or 1 year? And before we answer that, I think we had a whole series on stress. So that would be a good video to go to. It's, I think, maybe 2 years old, maybe more. But I think it is dependent. What do you think? I think that if you have acute stress being, something happened, and because of that thing happening, you just got stressed. No, just in that particular time. So it will last for maybe a day, and it's gone, because you basically handled it well, I should say. You coped. That's the word I was trying to find. You have coping mechanisms to be able to deal with the situation. So though it may be an issue that is not resolved completely, but you have a coping mechanism. You have been able to deal with it in terms of your handling of how to juggle around it, and you're not making it something that is going to burden you all the time. So that stress is gone. That's acute stress. And then acute stress could also be, having something like a fire in your house. You have to run. So you get stressed, and then you have to run. You need that stress, you need that cortisol to release so that it will give you the energy to run. That's why sometimes people are like, I don't know how I was able to run from here to there. I tell you what, it was the cortisol and the adrenaline. That stress hormone, you needed it. So those are good forms of stress. But it becomes chronic when it is released all the time, as if something is chasing you, as if there's fire in the house and you have to run. But this time that fire doesn't stop, so you are always running. Meanwhile, there's no fire. That is where the problem comes. So I think 1 month may not even be enough to say chronic, because if you were stressed for 1 month and you stop being stressed, it's not enough time for your cholesterol level to go up. But I'm talking about months.
Right.
I don't know if you agree with me.
So I think it becomes bad when you don't have the good coping mechanism, like you were trying to say, right? So like something can be chronic. So it's like within a year, but it comes and go. And whenever it comes, you are able to handle it to the point that your body is not overwhelmed with
That's the key.
cortisol.
It's not overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That's the key word there.
So your body is not able to handle the situation to the point that it's affecting the mechanism in your body is being altered. Your blood pressure is shooting, your blood sugar is all over, the atherosclerosis, things are happening. It means that you are being overwhelmed. That's what we are trying to discourage. The acute is it comes and it goes away. The situation is taken care of.
And you need that for safety.
Yes, you need that to function well. But you don't want to stay in a situation that you are not able to handle the situation, the point that you are breaking down your quality of life is being lost because of that situation. So that's what we are trying to advise, that when you find yourself in that situation and you are not able to cope, you're not able to manage it to the point that it's not affecting your physical being, that's when you have to make sure that you get away from the situation, or you just have to try and alter or seek help.
Seek help. Yeah,
Seek
we're going to
help
talk about some of the things
so
that
that you are able to cope, because you don't want to stay at the state of flight and fight all the time. That's when you get overwhelmed and things start happening.
Definitely. So I guess that answers that question. It's very, very important question that you ask, because I mean, if you lost somebody and you have to mourn for 1 month, that would be stressing for 1 month.
Right.
But that in itself is not going to do much as long as it stops. But if it's like constant, months upon months, you are stressed because of your financial loss, then there's a problem.
Or because of you lost a loved one,
yes.
And you are mourning, and your mourning is non-stop.
It's non-stop.
And you are getting overwhelmed, and it's affecting things and your quality of life. That's when you have to really find to get a solution and help.
Yes. All right. So there's more questions. If other people are not asking, we are going to answer. And this one is not a question. I just loved Serenity. Oh my goodness.
Sugar daddy.
Serenity is saying that. Oh my goodness. Let's start camera right now. Let me just see if we can go. Yes, I lost my camera on one of the shows, but let me put Gifty on now while I fix that. So Serenity is saying what? Let me put it back on.
Get a sugar daddy to help with financial stress.
Get a sugar daddy to help. Serenity, I don't know. What about those of us who don't have?
I need to get a sugar mommy.
Man, can we also
get sugar mommy?
Sugar mummies? That's I know she's making it fun, because some people do that. Some people just give themselves out when they have financial issues. I don't think it's the best, and because it has its own disadvantages, right? If you go for a sugar mommy or a sugar daddy,
it has its own stress too that comes with it.
It has its own stress. Oh, come on, man! I didn't even think about it. It has its own stress. You're gonna be dealing with this old guy who can't do anything. Just because they're showering you money. Well, your money stress may go, but what if they leave you? Because they can have the propensity to leave at some point too, especially if they see that that's the only reason why you are around. So, but I'm thinking that she's just trying to create the emoji says it all, right? Just trying to make the show fun. Yes, thank you for that. All right, and then the other thing that I think she also brought up is that alcohol and smoking and drugs is not the solution
for stress.
And I cannot agree with her anymore. You cannot think using alcohol would solve the problem, or smoking. As a matter of fact, that puts an additional strain on your body. So you are stressed, and now you are straining your body more to handle these toxins. So you don't want to go and do that at all. You don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that. All right. So I think now we're going to talk about the next point of how to manage yourself, in this financial difficulty time, so that you will overcome. Why don't you start while I turn the camera back on for me?
Okay. So I think the next point that we want to talk about is another way to cope, or manage your stress, is to have money worry curfew. So no financial talks, or maybe you don't want to watch news 1 hour before bed.
Yes.
Or 2 hours before bed. You just tell yourself that, okay, I'm not going to stay in tune with whatever people are talking and whatever that experts are saying and whatever the predictions and all that out there people are talking, right? And they are coming up with the doom and all that. I'm just going to stay away from such talks. Giving yourself a break from all that, bad news that are coming. You just have to take yourself away from that, especially if you are having sleepless nights. Just watch a funny show, a movie, something, just to take your mind off that situation. Because as we all know, studies have shown that bad news raises cortisol, increasing heart attack risk by 40% over time.
40% over
Constant bad
news.
news.
And the news people, that's the best, that's how they make their money. They get bad news. When they have good news, they don't say it.
Or they say it one time.
Or they say it one time. But the bad news will be a cycle. They will hammer it until you get fed up. And that is associated with a 40% increased risk of heart attack. This is serious, guys. This is not something to play with. So remove yourself from the bad news situation. Watch something more relaxing. You found out something is not going on right with the stocks. Yeah, it's not going on, but tune it off after some time. Don't be dwelling on it, especially if you are, in your 50s, 40s, 60s, you're closer to your retirement and you see your retirement being wiped out. If you don't take it, it can get to you.
Right.
So what we encourage is do not look at them all the time. As a matter of fact, you're talking about a curfew. I'm going to add that if you have a portfolio which is falling as a result of all the economic things that are going on, you probably should not even look at all.
Wow.
Just give yourself a break. Tell yourself that I will recover. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Because that's the only hope. When they are down, the only place they can go again is up. So talk to yourself positively and ignore it, at least at some point,
right,
rather than to dwell on it and get yourself into more trouble. So that is one.
Yeah, so you're preventing your body from getting overwhelmed by
Yes.
the production of the cortisol,
Which will lead
over the
all those
time.
things.
So take your mind off it. Watch a funny movie. Go out, take a walk, do something. Take your mind off it, and that will help you not constantly producing the cortisol that will affect all your health and your other things happening in you, for sure.
Definitely. So the next point, we're talking about how to overcome the stressful times in this financial ups and downs, right? The next thing is that you must eat healthy. Eat healthy and avoid processed and comfort eating. Something that happens with stress is that when people are stressed, they eat anyhow.
Right.
And when people lose their jobs, they eat anyhow. They let things go. And as a matter of fact, the study that we are talking about made mention of that. People who have lost their jobs, who are unemployed, who have lost a lot of money in the stock market, people who have lost something of value, most of the time they don't take care of themselves anymore. And that is one of the reasons why they end up dying sooner or coming up with more serious problems. So eat healthy. Don't say that you lost your job or you lost your retirement money, so you're just going to eat anyhow. No, intentionally eat healthy, because that's when you actually need better food, because you want to hang in there and be able to weather the storm. You don't want to fall sick, especially around that time, right? So that's very important. Yeah.
And some people cope by reaching out for the comfort foods, and the processed foods and the unhealthy foods that you're talking about. So something comforting, but if you're not careful, you are going to overdo it, and that will definitely affect your health.
So don't eat them.
Don't eat them at all.
Yeah, don't eat those comfort foods. Switch them around. You can be very, very intentional. If your mind tells you pick up an ice cream, because after all, what? That's what it will come. The devil will whisper to your ears. Pick some ice cream up.
A bucket.
Yeah, after all,
and just cry through it and eat it.
Cry through it. No, you tell yourself, I'd rather eat a fruit. I'll eat some berries. I'll eat some comforting food, some sweet food, but it's going to be a healthy one. Eat an apple, eat some berries, something that was, suffice for at least the urges to eat something, so that you don't end up making your body even worse because of what you're going through. And the next one,
you can also exercise.
Next one is to exercise. In these times, brothers and sisters, you got to exercise.
You take a run outside, get fresh air. The weather is changing now, so you can step out. You go to the park, you take a walk. You stay active. And as we all know, exercise help you produce what? the good hormone, the endorphins, that you
feel good.
feel good hormone is produced when you exercise. So that would be something that you can use to cope, to manage through, whether through the stressful situation, than to resolve to drugs and alcohol and other things that people
Definitely,
do.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Don't watch the news at all. As
Oh,
she
at
is,
all.
that's what she's saying. Don't watch the news. Well, the news is always bad. Yes, the
Yeah.
news is always bad. I mean, I love to watch the news,
Mhm.
but like we are saying, I know how not to make it bother me so much. Enough bad news for the day, and you move on. Don't live on it and make it affect you, especially those that are personal. If it's affecting some people and you want to watch it, maybe have pity on them, maybe help people, that's okay. But as soon as it happens to you, you got to watch out, because now you're going to take it personal. Sometimes it hasn't happened to you, but the fact that you are watching it will make you begin to have
To
anxiety.
worry.
Yes,
Yeah.
now you're seeing people are losing their jobs, they're interviewing them, and they're losing their homes, or they're losing their retirement, and you begin to panic. That is not something you want to do. It will even affect your performance at work, because already you are in a panic mode, which you don't want to be in that. Right. Because of that, let's move on. What other way
You
can
can
we
also join support groups,
you can also join support?
Don't isolate yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah, you don't want to handle it alone. You're thinking about something that may not be true at all. Because of the state of mind, you may be coming up with things, conclusions that may not be true. So you have to join a group, If you have a church, you can be part of the group, and you share coping strategies.
Strategies, yeah.
What people are doing out there. Because for all that it's not only you, things are happening to everybody. So you don't want to isolate yourself and beat yourself down, talk yourself down and be lonely. You have to step out there, join with other people, like-minded people, and just talk it out. And that will definitely help manage the situation.
That's very important, because the studies also say that social isolation actually doubles your risk for stroke.
Wow.
And this is from the CDC, from the US government. Social isolation doubles your risk for stroke. So if you already have a risk because of your parents, or you have a risk because of your age, you have a risk because you are diabetic, you have a risk because you have hypertension, and then you also get socially isolated. You don't talk to anybody, you are walk alone, your risk doubles. So that's dangerous. So people go to church not just for fun. Sometimes we think we go to church, to just serve God and be happy and do all those things. But sometimes you go for your own good. The fact that you see people talking positive things happening to them, standing in front of what we call testimonies, all those things are things that basically help you to be able to weather your own storms. When you hear what some people went through and they got through it, it gives you that edge that, hey, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. So you move on. So social isolation is very bad. Again, because it doubles your risk for stroke. So if you are isolated all the time, please watch out and begin to talk to people. I know that in some communities, it's really hard to get, other people to talk to. I think we were talking to somebody yesterday, and they said that they had a neighbor. They lived in a place for 10 years.
For 10 years.
And they never said hi to each other in the neighborhood.
Wow.
This is America right here. And so some people may be individualistic. People may be just straight. You want to say hi to them and they turn their faces away. But still find somebody that will say hi back and begin to create a rapport. The fact that you try with one person and it didn't work out doesn't mean you should stick to yourself. You got to move forward. All right. So we got to basically watch that. So that's one thing. Get away from social isolation. And let's move on.
Okay. And the next thing is you want to admit what you can't change.
Oh my goodness. Admit what you cannot change.
So if it's beyond your control, there is nothing that you can do about it.
Nothing you can do.
So why do you want to stay in this perpetual state of, worry, the stressful situation? It's something that you have no control over. And it's not because you didn't do anything or you did something. It just happened to you. So it's something beyond your control. So you let it go and you live your life. You don't let that control you.
If you want to control everything on this earth, you go quick. You go quick because you don't have power over everything. Not even your own. Sometimes even your own situations you can't change. But some people want to change theirs, change their spouses, and change their kids. It's not easy. Somebody can do it, but you don't have to always do it. So if you are going through certain things that you cannot change, admit it. That hey, this thing I have no power over. For example, the stock market lost what $6 trillion. What can you do about it? You ain't gonna do anything. You can't do anything. So worrying about your retirement is basically worrying for nothing. You just got to keep working and keep trusting God and think that it's going to work out. As Serenity said right here, she's saying that you will recover financially. Eventually, you're going to recover, right? You got to. Like, as I said earlier, it's only got one place to go. If it is down, where can it go? Apart from going up, it's definitely going to go up. So that is what you want to make sure that you are doing. You got to have that mindset that if it goes now, it's got to come up. We've been through this before. And so encourage yourself. You cannot change everything. Not everything. Just do your best. Some people too take that too far and they say like, hey, as for me, I've done something, nothing works, so they sit down. No, just keep doing your just keep doing your thing. And make sure that you are following through with on your part what you got to do. If you do what you got to do, you're gonna be all right, right?
And also, if you are at that point that you are so overwhelmed and you are losing control, this is the time that you have to talk to a mental health professional.
Yes.
If you get to that point that you feel like you can't do it anymore, you are out of ideas, you are losing control of the situation, this will be the time that you have to talk to somebody that can really help you manage or maneuver through the situation.
But that's very important. In some cultures, they don't see mental health professionals, they don't see a psychiatrist, everything, they deal with it. But the world has changed. We have specialties. People are specialized for that. So no matter how strong you are, you could even be a pastor, you could even be a teacher, somebody who people look up to you for help and directions. And yet, you may also need somebody. Come on, man. We all need each other, right? You may also need somebody. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. You need some, you need some. You can say that because of my status, I don't want people to think that I'm this. No, if you need it, you need it. And so look out and see if what you're going through is beyond your own control and you need a professional to help. See your doctor. They can refer you, tell them, and things will become better that way than to just let things be and make you struggle and fight these battles alone. Some of the battles that people face, you cannot fight it alone. Sometimes you even need a government to help.
Right.
You lost your job, you're about to lose your house, your income is stopped, and you're stressed. Go speak to a social worker. Somebody must be able to help. They may direct you to a place where you can get some assistance.
Right.
But if you just deal with it alone at home, that's why people take their lives. And we don't want you to get to that extent. Definitely not.
And at the same time, you just have to make sure that you continue with the routine health checks. You're monitoring your blood pressure, you know your numbers, the glucose level, the LDLs, you're keeping up with those numbers, making sure that none of them is spiking up and getting you into trouble. So that can be a way that you can use to manage your stress level.
Definitely. And I think there's another important point that Serenity is bringing. She's saying that doctors and nurses are the worst about seeking mental health care.
Yes,
exactly.
that is true.
Because you feel like you're taking care of people and you lose the point about you seeking help yourself. Some of them don't even do physicals, annual physicals, because they're busy always taking care of people. And that is where you don't want to be. And so no matter where you are in terms of your profession, seeking help doesn't make you any less than you are.
Right.
As a matter of fact, those people who admit that they need help are stronger than people who definitely need help and they say we don't need help. You are actually the weak person. And so to admit you need help and then to seek for it makes you even stronger. Because now your weakest point is being filled up.
Right.
You're going to take care of it, right? So definitely seek help if you need it. And the last point, I want to add something to it too. That is the routine health check if you don't know your numbers, the numbers that we think are correlating to your cardiovascular health, such as your cholesterol,
Right.
your blood pressure, and your blood sugar, which we think everybody should check. If at least if you don't have diabetes or heart disease, at least once a year, let them run the blood work and tell you how you're doing in terms of your bad cholesterol, in terms of your glucose, in terms of your blood pressure, so that at least those basics are taken. And then after that, you go beyond to the pap smears and and all the other colonoscopy, mammograms, and all those are also there. But this one should be annual thing, and I think it's important.
Right. Yeah, I think Serini also say that the way to cope with your stress level, you put on some music and you dance,
Music.
which I love so much.
Music.
Right.
Put on some music and that you like.
Yeah, and dance to it, dance it up.
We used to have fun when you were kids, but now we are so uptight. When was the last time you danced to music? Come on, put it in the chat when you watch, whether you're watching later or you're watching now. When was the last time you turned on the music and you actually shook yourself and dance? Oh man, I don't think most people do it. A lot of people don't, and that is really, really bad. Because dancing has its own benefits. The endorphins are going to be released,
Right.
for one,
Feel good.
and you're going to feel good, right? And so definitely, let's make sure that we are doing that. And are you ready to dance? When we close up, I think we should dance. I could put on the music and we could dance.
We can dance it out,
Dance
right?
a little bit, just to show people the way, right? We are not uptight. Just let life take care of itself. And scripture says something. It says that sufficient unto the day are the evils thereof. There's enough bad stuff in the day. So what you gonna do? You're gonna be crying and being stressed all the time? It's gonna be there. So live above that and let life go on. And then it's also saying that by thinking about the issues and stressing about them, nobody can add a cubit to their height, or you can change your life by 1 meter, if I should say. Then, so stressing about issues don't make any change. You are basically just wasting your time and wasting your body if you are stressing about issues. So I think that's a good place to wrap up. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
I think we're good.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to continue, and I promise that we will dance. I haven't prepared it, but I have a song there that we usually close with, and I'll put a video onto it, and we would dance through it. Are you ready?
No.
We would. We gotta dance. Come on, man. I'm telling you, do the thing. Let's show them how we do it. All right? We are going to do some little, dancing here. Create the first thing. You guys have to dance. If you're married, dance with your husband, dance with your wife. If you lost money in the stock market, dance it out. If you lost your job, dance it out. Trust me, I know it's not easy, but make it easy for you. While you look for another one, while you pray that things work out, dance it off. Let the stress, take care of yourself while the stress goes away. And that is something that we definitely need. So with that being said, let me see if I got my music ready. I definitely will have something. So don't leave. Those who are watching, you're gonna also dance with us. I know I watch some shows that they close out dancing, so that's gonna be something. Oh, Serenity is bringing more points. Serenity, we tried to hide this one, and you brought it out. Come on, man. Serenity say that. What about sex for stress? Oh, come on, man. That is a big question. That is a very good question. And I know, Serenity, you know the answer. You're just trying to trick us. But we are going to answer it for you. Yes, it says that after dancing, yeah, let's talk about that. What about sex for dance, for stress? I think sex is a very great stress reliever.
Right.
Sex is a very great stress reliever. So if you have a partner that you live with and you are stressed, those times it's not easy to actually go and have sex if you are stressed
and overwhelmed.
Right? It's not easy at that time because already your mind is way high. And if your mind is way high, you probably won't even think about that. But if your partner can see it and, create an avenue to lure you into it, they may be the ones that are. I think I lost that camera right there.
Yeah.
The camera is on. They may be
So
the
we're not
one.
going to dance then.
Yeah, you're gonna dance alone because your camera works. Yeah, they may be the ones that will sort of edge you on,
Right.
so that you can basically do that. I think I'm going to create
Yeah.
another.
So it's not going to work if both of you are stressed, but sometimes it's good if one is stressed and the other can help set the mood, so that the stress can be, be reduced from helping out for that to happen. Because sometimes people get to that state that, everything is falling apart. But definitely stress.
Make sure that they are using those things. Oh, there's another super chat from Serenity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Come on, man. You say, God bless you. You are a very important member of our audience, and we appreciate you so much. Not only with your questions, and now you are also donating to support the channel. Very, very grateful to you. God bless you. Your mind don't have to suffer. Your heart and mind don't have to suffer just because you are going through some financial issues. Even when your wallet does, they don't have to suffer, right? So start today with one small change from this video that we have shown you. Just one small change, and ensure that you are around and healthier regardless.
Yep. So hit subscribe and tap the bell. Next week, we will be revealing 3 cheap foods that unclog arteries and lower your blood sugar.
My goodness, my goodness. And then we are saying that we are rooting for you. So stay tuned as we dive into a little bit of a dance. Hopefully this will work out. Come on. That's it. Yeah, we are dancing right here. Wake up in the morning, feel the sunshine glow. Take a breath of fresh air, let the rhythm flow. You thought I didn't have good music, right? Take control, keep your heart in check, feel the beat of your soul. Leave behind the chaos. Don't let it rise. Healthy choices make your spirits fly. Take care, everybody keep it strong. Don't let stress carry. When the song ends, then we'll end. Mind and body in harmony. Feel the life sweet symphony. Whoa, 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 whoa.